Welcome to Planet Stream, your trusted source for global news, analysis, and the stories shaping our world today. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and stay with us for in-depth coverage you won't find anywhere else. Today's story takes us to the Middle East, where a shocking development has sent shockwaves across the region and beyond. Yemen has announced the launch of a new military campaign it is calling Operation Dawn of Galilee. In an unprecedented move, Yemeni forces claim to have captured an Israeli military base in what could be one of the most significant escalations in recent memory. The implications of this announcement could reshape the balance of power in the Middle East, destabilize existing alliances, and potentially open a new chapter in an already turbulent region. Let's walk through this carefully, detail by detail. According to reports released by Yemeni state-backed media and military officials, Operation Dawn of Galilee was launched in the early hours of the morning. The campaign was described as swift, coordinated, and aimed directly at Israeli military infrastructure. While the details remain contested and Israel has not yet provided a full official statement, Yemeni forces are claiming that their units successfully stormed and overran a key base belonging to the Israeli Defense Forces. Images allegedly from the operation began circulating online, showing armed Yemeni units inside what appears to be a fortified compound. This announcement did not come out of nowhere. For months, tensions have been building in the region as Yemen's Houthis, often aligned with Iranian interests, have openly declared their opposition to Israel. They've previously launched missile and drone attacks targeting Israeli-linked shipping in the Red Sea and threatened retaliation in solidarity with Palestinians. But this, claiming to have captured an actual Israeli base, is on an entirely different scale. If verified, it represents not only a major symbolic victory for Yemen but also a significant blow to Israeli security and military prestige. To understand why this matters, let's look at the geopolitical context. The Middle East is already a theater of overlapping conflicts, alliances, and rivalries. Israel, a key U.S. ally, has been entangled in its own struggles with Gaza, Hezbollah in Lebanon, and a long-standing standoff with Iran. Yemen, meanwhile, has been mired in civil war for nearly a decade, with the Houthis battling a Saudi-led coalition and carving out control over much of northern Yemen. Despite being one of the world's poorest nations, Yemen's Houthis have developed surprising military capabilities, deploying ballistic missiles, drones, and asymmetric warfare tactics that have reshaped the battlefield. The announcement of Operation Dawn of Galilee adds a completely new layer to this equation. For Israel, this raises urgent questions. How far can Yemeni forces project their power? Where exactly was this supposed base? Was it in contested territory along Israel's northern borders? Was it a forward operating installation used for intelligence? Or is this a symbolic claim designed to boost morale and pressure Israel politically? Israel's silence thus far is telling. Traditionally, Israel is swift to deny, disprove, or retaliate against claims that undermine its security reputation. The delay in response could mean that officials are still assessing the scale of the incident, or it could mean that there is some truth behind Yemen's announcement. If confirmed, it would mark the first time in modern history that Yemen has directly seized Israeli infrastructure, a shocking first in the annals of Middle Eastern conflict. The implications stretch far beyond Israel and Yemen. For Iran, which has provided backing to Yemen's Houthis, this could be seen as a strategic win against one of its chief rivals in the region. Iran has long pursued a policy of surrounding Israel with hostile groups and allied forces, from Hezbollah in Lebanon to Hamas in Gaza, to militias in Syria and Iraq. Yemen entering the equation with a bold claim of capturing an Israeli base fits neatly into this regional strategy of encirclement. For Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states, the development is equally unsettling. Riyadh has been trying to negotiate peace with the Houthis and find an exit from the costly Yemen war. But if Yemen is now repositioning itself as an active combatant against Israel, Saudi Arabia may find itself caught in the middle of a widening regional war. Meanwhile, the United States and Western allies will be watching closely. Washington has poured billions of dollars into supporting Israel's military edge in the region, and any suggestion that Israel's bases can be captured undermines not just Israel's deterrence but also the credibility of U.S. guarantees. American officials are likely already in emergency consultations with their Israeli counterparts to assess the situation. NATO allies, too, will be concerned about the broader regional fallout, especially given how conflicts in the Middle East often ripple out into energy markets, refugee flows, and global security. But let's step back and ask, could this be propaganda? It is not uncommon in the fog of war for exaggerated or even fabricated claims to be made for psychological impact. Yemen's announcement, if untrue, still achieves something. It sends a message of strength, solidarity with Palestinians, and defiance against Israel. For Yemeni domestic audiences, it rallies support. For regional audiences sympathetic to the Palestinian cause, it reinforces Yemen's image as part of a wider resistance front. And for Israel, whether the claim is accurate or not, it forces a reaction, consumes military resources, and puts the government under pressure. Still, the stakes are far too high to dismiss this outright. Independent verification will be critical. Journalists, analysts, and intelligence experts will be scouring for satellite imagery, eyewitness accounts, or additional leaks that confirm or deny the capture of an Israeli base. If proven true, it would be one of the most dramatic escalations since the October 7 attacks that reignited the war between Israel and Hamas. The choice of the operation's name, Dawn of Galilee, is also symbolic. The Galilee region in northern Israel holds both strategic and historic importance. By branding their operation with this name, Yemen is signaling that its ambitions are not confined to symbolic gestures but extend directly into Israeli territory. It suggests a long-term vision of taking the fight to Israel's doorstep, aligning with rhetoric that has often called for resistance across the entire region. Now let's consider the human side of this story. For ordinary Yemenis, living through years of airstrikes, blockades, and humanitarian crises, news of Operation Dawn of Galilee may bring a sense of pride or empowerment. It shifts the narrative from being perpetual victims of war to being active players on the regional stage. For ordinary Israelis, however, this news is deeply unsettling. The idea that a distant country like Yemen could strike at the heart of Israeli security underscores how vulnerable even a heavily armed nation can be in modern asymmetrical warfare. International reactions are beginning to pour in. Palestinian groups have praised the operation, calling it a step toward broader resistance. Iranian media is amplifying Yemen's claims, framing them as proof of Israel's weakness. Western governments, however, are urging caution, warning against premature conclusions until facts are verified. Some diplomats are already warning that this could spiral into a wider conflict involving Lebanon, Syria, and beyond. In Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, the political implications are profound. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has already faced mounting criticism over his handling of national security. If Yemen's claims are confirmed, it will intensify pressure on his government, fuel opposition protests, and possibly destabilize the fragile coalition currently holding power. The Israeli military may feel compelled to retaliate forcefully, not just against Yemen, but also against Iran, which they see as the mastermind behind such escalations. Retaliation, however, risks dragging Israel into yet another extended conflict at a time when it is already stretched thin. What comes next? There are a few scenarios. 1. Israel denies and disproves Yemen's claims, providing evidence that no base was captured. This would contain the narrative, but not erase the propaganda victory Yemen already achieved. 2. Israel confirms the incident but downplays its scale, portraying it as a temporary breach rather than a lasting capture. 3. Israel launches immediate retaliatory strikes on Yemen, escalating the conflict and potentially drawing in other regional players. 4. The situation triggers broader regional alignment, with Iran, Hezbollah, and other groups escalating their actions in coordination with Yemen, creating a multi-front war for Israel. For the international community, this is a moment of high tension. The United Nations is likely to call for restraint, though its influence over the parties involved remains limited. Regional powers like Turkey, Egypt, and Qatar may attempt to mediate, but their success will depend on how entrenched the combatants become in their positions. The United States may find itself pressured to directly intervene, either diplomatically, militarily, or both. The balance of power in the Middle East has always been delicate. Shocks like this can tip the scales quickly. Just as the Arab Spring reshaped alliances and power structures across the region a decade ago, so too could Operation Dawn of Galilee, if proven real, mark the beginning of a new phase in Middle Eastern geopolitics. For now, the world waits. Verification will be key, reactions will unfold, and the people of the Middle East, whether in Yemen, Israel, Gaza, Lebanon, or beyond, remain caught in the middle of a conflict that shows no sign of ending soon. As we continue to follow this story, Planet Stream will bring you updates, analysis, and insights as they develop. We remain committed to providing clear, balanced, and fact-based reporting in a world where information is often contested. Thank you for joining us today. If you found this video informative, please support our work by liking, sharing, and subscribing to Planet Stream. hit the notification bell so you never miss an update on the most important global stories. Until next time, this is Planet Stream, bringing the world to you.